others, he's and she's, welcome to the Endless Eight podcast, a curated list of the works of the studio Kyoto Animation. We are on episode 7. We're returning all the way to 2011 to talk about Nichijou. And joining me on the cast today are my co-hosts with the most, the lovely Kai, or Clear and Sweet.
Oh boy, it's Nichijou time, everybody. I hope you're ready. We got a good one for you today. This is going to be fun. And joining us today, we have a very special guest who is going to make this fun. This is Spoderflakes.
Yeah, hello. My name is Carlos, and yeah, I like Nichijou, I guess. Yeah.
Well, that's not the kind of enthusiasm we were looking for.
Yeah.
I was hoping you start cutting your chest with Nichijou on it, saying like a real Nichijou fan or something like that.
Wait, we got to do it again. Selamat pagi.
No.
No, God.
Kinds of thing, but I have a limit.
Wow. We need to kick
I'm
him off the
sorry.
podcast. He said
Yeah.
no. He said no Selamat pagi.
Okay, I'll cave in.
All right.
Sorry.
Okay. All right. So yeah, we are talking about Nichijou. This is like Kai's Christmas present to himself.
Yeah.
I think, I don't think if it's been explicitly said at any point on the podcast so far, but I assume this is your favorite, if not second favorite Kyoto Ani works. At least going into the podcast adventure. Who knows?
Right,
Maybe Myriad Colors Phantom Worlds just kind of displaced everything at the top of the list.
It's actually Munto now. Yes, you're right.
Yeah.
No, yeah, that's kind of weird. I don't know if I would say favorite. I would say definitively, though, that this is the best Kyoto Animation show, which says quite a lot because of my affection for things like Haruhi, for K-On, for a massive amount of their portfolio I truly love, but I really do think Nichijou is not only the epitome of an anime comedy in general, but also the best efforts of a lot of Kyoto Animation. So we should also talk about, we do this up front. We say this is where it's from, who's working on it. This is Ishihara directing at the head, but really everybody in the studio at the time did an episode or 4. The manga is by Keiichi Arawi. It's an unusual name.
Keiichi Arai, they tend to say.
Oh, okay. Yeah. And I just want to also shout out Yuji Nomi, who did the music. The composer
I want to talk about that so bad.
Yeah, you got something to say already? Hit it. Let's hear it.
Yeah. Yuji Nomi, for me, is like such an inspiration because he is the one that introduced me to Ryuichi Sakamoto. Do you know who that is?
Not by name.
No? Oh man. So I was like, when I was like extremely hyper fixated in Nichijou, I was like looking through like the credits and everything. And Nomijoji used to be Ryuichi Sakamoto's pupil, and he learned from Ryuichi. Ryuichi Sakamoto is like one of the biggest Hollywood composers. Like he's not like everywhere, but he gets his like work here and there. Ryuichi Sakamoto worked on Black Mirror. He worked on The Revenant. He worked in many other movies. Both of them are incredible composers, and there's little tidbits when it comes to Nobujoji because he talks about why they went to Budapest instead of Japan to record all of the music. And it's mostly because of how low budget everything is in Japan when it comes to entertainment sometimes. So they had to go in an entirely different country to get what the directors and, of course, Nomi wanted for this show. It was such an incredible soundtrack. Like every song is incredible. Like,
so in case you didn't tell, Spoderflakes is a big Nichijou fan.
No.
And
No.
Kai,
we should introduce you first.
Yes. Kai, I don't think this was done, but Kai, you guys are like mutual Nichijou Discord server members. And when Spoder mentioned the Discord,
I'm sorry.
It's okay, dude. When Spoder mentioned the Discord, that's the Discord. It's the Nichijou Discord that you guys were referencing. I guess it's a special Discord. But yeah, anyway, really quickly before we get into the Discord, it was 2011. Kyoto Animation make this. This is like what, off the back of K-On? 2011. What? I feel like that would have been
the disappearance of Haruhi Suzumiya was
I don't
2010.
know anything kyo-ani.
Well, that was one of the first questions we wanted to ask you, Spoderflakes, is like if you're a big Nichijou fan, and how much of a Kyoto Animation fan are you?
Kind of. I would say I'm a fan, but I'm not like a big fan. Like last time I told you guys that I had never watched Hibika Euphonium, and I watched like 2 or 3 episodes because of that episode where you guys go like hard and emotional about it. And I was like, whoa, I gotta watch this. I've never watched Haruhi either. But I watched Violet Evergarden. I don't like that show that much. I love Dragon Maid. I absolutely love Dragon Maid. K-On is very dear to me. What
Okay,
else?
okay. See,
Silent Boys is good. It's fine. It's good. What else? What else is there from Kyo-ani? Oh God, I
how about
know I've
Munto?
watched.
Clanad, Munto. Yeah.
Clannad I've never watched because I'm still like I'm going to play this visual novel.
Oh,
Oh
I'm
really?
yeah,
yet
yeah,
to
yeah,
do that.
yeah,
I'm yet to
yeah.
do that. There's also Chunibyo, I think is the name of that.
Yup.
Yep.
Which
Yeah.
we'll
Yeah.
be
I
talking about in our
watched
next
two
episode.
episodes. I
Right.
watched 2 episodes of that and I really liked it, but I forgot to keep going.
It does happen. It does happen.
It's mostly
They-
Nichijou then
yeah.
that
They're on a
draws
bit of
you
a
in.
heater though at this point because 2010. I was just looking at the list. So 2010 they come on to, they go with K on. 2011 is Nichijou, and 2012 is Hyoka. Now,
Yeah.
obviously, Kai, your feelings with Hyoka kind of like vary.
Boo.
But in terms of like big productions, Hyoka I would consider like one of the bigger productions. They're like putting a lot of effort into what they're putting out there, which good to see. I'd rather that than you sort of like hand waving some sort of like shitty adaptation, sort of Studio Period style.
That's
But
where I wanted to segue in right away on Nichijou. Is just like the amount of effort that goes into this show, and
Yeah.
there's like several angles to attack that. We can talk about like from the as an adaptation of the manga, or like the time and place that it occupies in the Kyoto Animation backlog, and but it's undeniable as you watch this show how much,
It's a work of
I don't
love.
know, effort, passion, what do you want to say, is like, yeah, it's like all over the
For me, it's a work of love. That show feels like every single person that worked on it loved every bit of the manga and tried to excel everything about it. I feel because there's even like a lot of scenes that aren't even the manga or Helvetica standard or
Yep.
even like the promotional material that used to ROE do, but there's so much original content, but that still works so well with the manga itself. And wow, it's just the way they excel at the backgrounds, the colors, the music, everything. They loved what they did with this show.
this one does not look 10 years old whatsoever. I will say that.
No,
Which it was
no.
one of those things where it's like oft repeated, but it does often bear repeating. Is how amazing the production value is. Because like we're coming off the back of Myriad Colors Phantom World, which say what you want about it, is fucking impressive, like
Yeah,
visually, and it's literally like every instance. Like this is just a perfect example of it, though, where they're kind of moving into it's a noticeably different style from everything else, but it's almost like they did not need to go this hard
Yeah.
from an
no.
animation perspective, right?
Yeah.
Like it was like outrageous at times, and again, you're thinking of this like it's 2011. That's 11 years in the anime world is a long time. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like you're at the point now where like stuff into that, like we were literally like looking at like stuff from that era being sort of like semi retro. that's how
Dude,
hyperactive the anime world is. And yeah, man, I was like, I could not believe it. Like that's one thing I gotta say about it. Like I think even if you were like not, how do you say this line? I don't think this is for a new anime fan. I'll say that right now.
Yeah. Yeah.
I think you need
you
to have
think so?
I don't think so. I think you have to like have a certain
Oh,
appreciation. One for like you have to kind of get the jokes in certain instances. You know what I mean? It's so it's just better that at least a little bit about that. And also it's very culturally specific in certain instances, right?
Yeah.
Like and I think
Yep.
if you and not saying it's like, super culturally specific, right? But just if you have a little bit of a framework and a bedrock in anime, I think this one is better for your consumption. Like this cannot be your first anime, put it that way.
Well, the other thing too is that this is a comedy show. It is
yeah.
a skit comedy adapted from this manga with very quick kind of scenes that just have maybe one or two punchlines and don't go on very long. And that's kind of how they adapted. This is splitting up each episode into segments. So watching it is a bit weird coming from an anime watcher's perspective in that way, that not only do you have to understand these culturally different jokes, and there's a lot of elements that go into making something funny in one culture that wouldn't appear in another, and that comes up in Nichijou. But then you also have this kind of weird structure of it. Watching an episode is just this collection of little short vignettes, and
Yeah.
having to laugh at them independently, and then see the overarching kind of themes and the other good stuff that's in there too. And it comes a little slower than it would in a narrative.
Actually, when it comes to that, I do think about it a lot when it comes to how Nichijou works and the incredible editing that goes to those episodes. Like the way it just goes back to back to back, but like it never feels like one clip or the other feel like out of place. They feel like everything's connected in an incredible way. And in my best way to talk about it is like it's an evolution of Azumanga Daioh for me.
Okay.
It's like Azumanga walked so Nichijou could run
Sure.
for me.
I
Because of
see
course
that.
like Keishi totally like took a lot of inspiration from Asuma's work to make Nichijou in 2006. But from there, yeah, like Kyoto Animation just took that concept and ran with it like in the best way possible. Like because Azumanga has like a lot of pauses that can be awkward.
Yes.
So it
Yes.
feels that Nichijou goes like lightning fast. Like you don't feel the episodes at all, and
Yes.
everything, the music, everything, the animation, not even the animation itself, it's just how snappy everything is, how easy it is to just make a clip and just enjoy that, and how easy it is also to just, I'll just watch episode 20, you know? And it
That was
feels
one of the
good.
ones I was watching today, to actually
Oh,
just randomly put in my DVDs or my Blu-rays, and I was like, oh, let's watch some Nichijou episodes to prep for the podcast. And yeah, I stumbled on 19 and 20, and man, I exactly what you're saying about um, what makes humor funny. And I actually have a video up on my channel about Nietzsche jokes and how they are delivered and what makes the humor funny, and breaking that down, of course, destroying the joke in the process.
Yeah,
mhm.
explaining the joke, therefore ruining the joke. But
Boo.
It's there. It's tangible though. You can feel it. You can see it in the jokes, in the pacing, and adapting it from the manga of what they show, where they put the exaggeration.
I'm gonna reel you guys in for a second, okay, really quickly.
Yeah, 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 yeah.
Just because I feel like I could wind you up and let you both go. And as but before that, just I want to get some like bedrocking behind like Nichijou. Okay, so one thing we always sort of do is we sort of like contextualize the where in the world, or where and when either we were or anime was. So it's 2011.
Mhm.
Maybe you guys can answer this. For actually, I'll start with two prongs. I'll go on a personal level first, and then I'll go sort of like a wider anime level. So personally, did either of you guys watch this in 2011 as it was airing, or did you come to Nichijou like later on in your life?
I watched it in 2017.
Okay, okay,
Wow.
okay.
I
So
never watched anime until like 2016.
okay, so relatively new. This is the kind of experience that like Tori had as well, right? Tori was on, I guess, in the Monto episode. I think he came into anime like 2014, 2013 time. He said. So this was kind of an early anime for you, assuming that you didn't just like hit the ground really, really hard. This is one of your first anime.
Dragon Maid Pipeline.
Dragon Maid Pipeline. Okay, that is
Yeah,
funny. That is
I
but for me,
see.
I'll
Yeah.
explain it right now,
Okay.
I guess.
Yeah,
But
please do.
for me, anime was, of course, as a kid, was like Kirby, Pokemon, and that was it, really. And from there, in high school, I watched JoJo, and I loved JoJo, like the fuck out of JoJo. It was like the only thing I inhaled and exhaled like 24/7, and I was like one of those like weird kids in high school that, oh, anime is kind of gay, and JoJo's like the only good thing. Why should I watch anything else? And
Yeah,
then
JoJo's the only straight anime. Yeah, yeah,
yeah,
that's
yeah, and now
which
now
is
I'm
which is the
bisexual, so
irony in that statement is unbelievable.
yeah, it's too funny. I had to call it out. Go ahead. Go ahead.
yeah.
But
Now I'm
I
bisexual.
you know
Come
what I
on.
kind of love about that though. That's like such a high school thing, sort of like attitude
Yeah,
though, and
yeah.
mindset. You know what I mean? Which is like kind of like it's kind of like funny. It's also kind of beautiful in a weird sort of way. Like, could everyone sort of relate to that? It's like the dumb shit that like high schoolers think, and we all have that thing. You know what I mean? Like, what I enjoy is peak culture.
Yeah.
you know.
Yeah.
All right, Spoderflakes. You coming into anime, you watch Nichijou.
Oh
You
yeah.
watched Dragon Maid. Dragon Maid
Yeah.
opening is exactly Nichijou.
I have to talk about my pipeline. So for that, so yeah, JoJo, all that. From there, I stopped watching anime whatsoever, and it was around 2016. I got into college, and from there, I was like, you know what? I really want to watch something else. I'm bored. I was like in a group chat with some friends on Facebook, and I say, hey, what anime I can watch like to start? And they told me One Punch Man, and I watched One Punch Man. I loved it. Then I went for Mob Psycho, and I loved it. And then I went for others, like a grab bag of everything. I went for Konosuba. I went for Gabriel Dropout at the moment. But many others, but they went Kimono Friends, and I didn't like it at that time. Like I think I have to watch it again. But from there, I watched Dragon Maid, and that show resonated so much with me. Like as I said, I have ADHD, so I hyperfixate on things like super hard, and that show kind of defined me as a person. That around that time, I couldn't stop listening to the soundtrack. I couldn't stop thinking about the fan art and everything. And from there, I recall like watching a review of this one guy. I don't remember, but he compared Dragon Maid to Nichijou when it comes to the to talking about life itself. Like when it comes
Mm,
to mundane stuff, like
yeah.
how important it is to just think about the small things and to appreciate them. I was like, huh, what is this? What is this Nishiju thing, huh? And so from there, I watched like this one YouTube video that after watching that video about that review of Dragon Maid that compared it to Nichijou, I watched then this other video that was called "How to Abuse Your Budget,"
That's a good title.
and
Okay.
That's a good title.
Yeah.
and it's very much talked about Nichijou, like how it used its budget and how crazy the animation was. And from there on, I was like, holy shit, this is incredible. I have to watch this because they used the sausage scene, which is in the first episode. And from there, watched it in like it was like episode 25. I was like, Jesus Christ, it's going to end, huh? Oh
Yeah.
God, this is going to end, and I resonated so much with every single character. Like, yeah, and it defined me as a person. I kept watching. I kept trying to find like any content, anything. And you don't
Wow.
know how crazy it was for me to watch Dragon Maid season 2 and just see that opening, because the guy behind that opening and the original, I'm gonna say original project Dragon Maid season 2, because the original project burned down with everything else.
Right. I was
They had
about to say that was
they had to
right.
rework it,
The
but
arson attack happened.
in
Yeah.
the first episode, they do credit the Nichijou director because he
Yeah.
was the one that brought
Yeah.
the idea, the OP, everything. Even though he didn't make it because he wasn't there anymore,
Yeah.
he had like everything. The students and everyone else will stay alive, try to rebuild all of that vision, and they used that. They used Nichijou for it. Even the colors for certain characters are similar to what Nichijou uses for their first OP, and it's just insane how far it has come to. And we're going to talk about it later. I think when it comes to how Nichijou failed financially, and
Yeah.
it took a while for people to pick up on what Nichijou is.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
So
Yep.
yeah, my pipeline, huh? So Dragon Maid just kind of
Dragon.
turned
That's
me into
wild.
what I am right now.
What about you, Kai? What
Uh,
was your experiences with the?
Yeah, no, that's so funny that you mentioned Dragon Maid because when Dragon Maid was airing and I was like, "Oh man, this sort of looks like Nichijou," I might be into Dragon Maid. And I think you're right that it does touch on the same stuff, but uh I think Nichijou is just so much a more comprehensive show all around. So I was back into anime. I got into anime. Shout outs to 2011, which I believe to be the best year for anime in recent memory. Although this year is pretty good. This one we're currently in right now.
Also,
But anyway,
shout out to 2016 as well.
2016. That's where you want to
Yeah.
go.
Well,
All
it's
right, that's good.
special mention, special mention. Like 2016 is pretty stacked, but I did look in your
Yep.
document and saw 2011. It's like, well, let me be the judge of this. And then
I
you're
don't
like,
know
oh,
any years.
Steins Gate, Madoka
Good
Magica,
reference.
Chi
Yes.
Fru. Hunter x Hunter, the 2011 version, which I believe is the definitive version. There's like a lot. There's a lot of like big titles in 2011. Penguin Drum, I think, is 2011. So this must have been a really good. This must have been a really big year for you, Kai.
Madoka
Magic. Yeah, there's like it's a big year. 2016 though, like don't sleep on it. And also 22, 21, 20, 19. Like every year right now, it feels like we're on a big year. But this one felt like that's what I was kind of wondering if like Nichijou actually made a splash in 2011.
So that's so it's so eminently clippable is the thing, is that it was either on Reddit or wherever I was at the time, is you see a Nichijou clip. And at this time, like I had watched Haruhi, right? Those were one of the first shows I watched. K-On! Was one of the first shows I watched getting back into anime. And so it's Kyoto Animation, and then it's airing, and I'm just like, I'm there day one. Nichijou resonates with who I am as a person and what I like, the irreverence of it, the absurdity of it. So I was a pig in shit as soon as I watched the beginning of it or a clip on Reddit. So been a Nichijou fan ever since. This is true. Okay, so Nichijou got a dub recently, like in English, right? But it got a dub 10 years after it released, right?
So talk about that.
Yeah, absolutely. That's a topic, right? But literally in 2012, I was at a convention or something, I think, and I saw a member, I think his name was Lance from Funimation, but he was like a big shot. He was giving a presentation. And after the presentation, I stayed and I was like, hey, just bought your panty and stocking dub release. It's great. You should dub Nichijou. And I told him to his face. And he was like, oh, yeah, okay. All right,
then like, bam, 10 years later.
10 years later, I'm at, Otakon or whatever. And I'm holding the copy of Nichijou. And I'm like, ha, finally I won.
So you did watch it? You were watching it in 2011 as it was airing?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Oh, that's cool.
And okay, say it's December 31st, 2011, right? It's about to click over 11:59 into 2012, and you're sort of looking back wistfully at the year that was and saying, it was a good year for anime, perhaps the best year for anime. Are you coming out of 2011 saying like, oh shit, Nichijou is like, it's up there for me, like Madoka Magica is, Penguin Drum is.
Right, you have such a limited scope at that time, right? Like you haven't seen that many anime, and it just so happens that, I don't know, one of the skills that I have very much is picking out the anime that I think I will like the most. So, I'm not going to JoJo, right? I'm not going to Hunter x Hunter. I'm here, I'm like, okay, I watched Haruhi, this is good. So it turns out that like my top, I don't know, 5 anime of all time, it's like Madoka Magica, Penguin Drum, and Nichijou are all in there, and I all watched them that year as they were airing. So it's like, I don't even know.
What about Chihaifaru? Are you like a?
I'm not a fan of Chihaifaru.
Really?
Although I have not tried. So I tried the first episode, and the guy was poor, and I didn't really understand the game.
He po.
Yeah, he po.
He po. Fuck that shit. If I need to be reminded of my own poorness, I'll watch something else.
Exactly. I was very poor at the time.
I'm trying to escape fucking reality here. Okay, yeah, because I thought that would have been like right up your alleyway, but like, yeah, dude, Penguin Drum. Madoka, Steins Gate as well. Like, shout out to Steins Gate. Did you watch Steins Gate that year?
Steins Gate is good. Yes, I did, and it was good. I liked it less.
I had a dream about Steins Gate the other day, and it was the weirdest dream. It was me having an argument about why Steins Gate Zero was shit, but that I was glad that it was made. It's like, this is the most boring dream ever, but it's literally a dream that I was having. I mean, literally, I was like, yes,
a banana or something, or got a Metalupa or something.
Yeah, that would have been nice. Or like, I'm gonna say that. Actually, that'd be really inappropriate. I'm not gonna say it. Let's just leave that to hang out.
We're a clean podcast here.
Yeah,
so
Yata, I don't want to let myself down.
You watched it for this podcast. You watched all 26
really?
Episodes, right?
Yeah,
26. 27.
27.
There's the OVA.
Oh, the OVA. Yes, I know the OVA. Yes.
So yeah, I had seen clips of Nichijou kind of like in the meme format. Like I had seen the deer wrestling scene several times without having seen the show, and I'd seen the I think it was in episode 1, the scene with the squid where you just like, all right, let's get the Sakaka team out here and let's just make this fucking the best animated squid careening across the classroom you're ever going to see. And it was Kyoto Animation, so I was like, well, it'll happen one day. But it's also one of those things where it was like, it just never came around, shall we say. But I always knew I would get to it eventually. There's other titles like that, you know. You're always like, there's this great thing that I'm supposed to watch, and one day I promise I will. But it's just like it never felt like overly urgent or necessary because one, we never covered it on the podcast, or two, I just at 2011-12 period, I was probably like, ooh, so into Naruto that there was almost like nothing else. So almost everything from between 11 and 13, I was literally getting like retroactively. Because I know I was really into Naruto. Whatever. We all go through our phases.
Yeah.
You know, I'll still watch it. I'll still go back and watch episode 20 of Naruto to make myself feel. No, I won't. But you know, for me, it was a very, very novel experience.
Yeah, I was about to say, what do you think?
Yeah, so I had thoughts. I didn't love it instantly, like the same way I did with. Funny enough, we mentioned it, Miss Kobayashi's Dragon Maid. And mainly it was because I was just thinking of like how I would alternate it, how I would do it differently, and I could not stop thinking of fucking Hitalia Axis powers and how.
Oh God, okay.
And hey, we're not judging here.
Yeah.
And I was just thinking to myself, because I was like, I wonder what this would have looked like if instead of having 27, 23-minute episodes, we had 150 5 to 10-minute episodes. And this was like, with hindsight, I would say no, it works better as a longer production. But the first two episodes, I just could not, because it's like, it took me a few episodes, I should say, to get used to the format of the episodes. Like, there's a lot of like interstitials, which actually I really like, but I did not like it at first. I did not like it. I think it was episode 7 where I sort of turned around and go, you know, actually, I kind of like these. It was the one when they were doing like the sushis. I don't know if it was episode 10. It might be episode 9 or 10. It was around the kind of like the approaching the like early first half, where there was just a bunch of like there was the woman putting out sushi in a boxed sushi in a supermarket or whatever, and then later on she was like tagging them for like discount at the end of the day. And I was like, you know what? I've got a whole 180 on these little interstitials. I like these. But at first I was like, this is kind of. Again, this is just me thinking. It's like, well, I could have just cut this, and I could have made this like Hitalia Axis powers. Now I know, I only use that because it's a short, sort of like short form anime thing. Like, there's different examples of these short form anime, but I feel like Hitalia is like the biggest one in that space. Also, can we get a canon version of Ireland, please? Just gonna throw that out there.
And so the interstitials. Yeah, the tone management, right? The structure of the episodes, the pacing that forces you to come down off the laughing highs to kind of breathe. Man, I'm just so impressed by it.
Yeah, they're beautiful. They're like you were talking about art books earlier on. I think they could be like a case for a collection, or at least an imager gallery of all of the interstitials, just like to see how, because they're doing it in kind of an interesting way. They're not like they're not as heavily saturated in terms of like the color as the in
little
between
post processing on them. Yeah,
like they're kind of cute. They're kind of abstract a little bit, and they're very like, how do you say this? They're very like, I don't know. There's a bit of like, I guess you could call it you know, that thing was sort of like the space between things, where you
space between. Yes.
Yeah, you're like, okay, we're gonna, you know, like it's almost like, oh, now you can reflect on how awesome that sequence almost was, or you know, whatever. Just have a moment to compose yourself and have this image of this beautiful art, this sort of like you know, this diegetic sort of sound going on in the background, and just like, here we are in Japan, we're setting the bedding. They do a lot. I guess you could probably be quite like artsy fartsy about it and just say like there's a really good reason for why they're there. But for me, it was like I just thought they were very pretty, and it really helped to like define the structure of the episodes. Like, I don't think it works as well without, like, I think it really would suffer without them. That makes, if it bounced straight into like you know, Helvetica standard or whatever, into you know, rock paper scissors or whatever, like those little breakups really helped. It was fascinating. Like, I gotta say that, like I said, I don't think I wasn't I didn't fall straight in love with it. That's definitely not a case.
Awesome.
It was kind of like a gradual kind of like appreciation. And I will say this though, Jesus Christ, those episodes really go like fast.
Yeah.
Like, it's very rare that I'm like, I literally like, I think it was episode 9 or 10, and it ended. And I was like, oh, what? That felt like 10 minutes to me. I just like, it's very rare that you get that. I think you get that experience. Maybe with like if you're really like if you're like young or like teenage boy and you're into that the shonen battle thing, and they actually only give you like 9 minutes of real content, and the rest is either flashbacks or sort of power ups or whatever, or reuse scenes from the previous episodes. Where it's like, oh my god, it's over already. What? There was an element of that. It was almost like novel how like quick they went, but not in a way that was like cheap or like like they earned that. It was purely an enjoyment thing, and it just shows that time dilated and it was all relative, and it was very, very enjoyable. Now I'm going to say
Go ahead. I will stop short of connecting it back to the themes of the show. Go ahead.
Okay, I was just going to say I'd have to like consider like because I saw Dragon Maid first. Okay.
Oh.
And I've seen Dragon Maid several times.
Wow.
Dragon Maid was actually the first thing I ever wrote about, anime specific.
Oh,
really?
Yes. And literally just after it aired, I did like a review on it. It was like, it's terrible. Nobody should ever find it. But
I thought you were saying Dragon Maid was terrible. I was like,
no. I fucking loved.
I didn't love it, but it wasn't that bad.
Okay, I thought you said that too. Oh
like,
wow.
Tori is one of my top 10 like anime characters. She's on the list. She's on my anime list, like literal top 10. But I would say that there's a lot of characters in here. I can see a lot of people falling hard for like a lot of characters in Nichijou as well. But yeah, I give it 2 thumbs up. Very enjoyable experience. Glad I got to watch it. It sucks that I needed a reason to. Like I should have watched this like 10 years ago. Well, I'm wasting my time watching fucking, I don't know, New Game for the second time or whatever. No shame on New Game. That was literally just the first one coming into my head. And the New Game is good. Everyone should watch New Game, but maybe not twice.
So no, there's the opposite effect for me. I watched all the great shows early on, and now all the rest of the anime just seems pale by comparison.
Yeah, that's how I feel.
But I want to turn it back to Spooder.
2022 is over here. Oh, and come on,
2022 is great, dude. 2022.
I am not a seasonal person, to be honest. I just watch what I feel like, because I never care about seasonal. Right now, there's Chainsaw Man. Haven't watched it, so I'm gonna go back to Trigun.
Trigun, yes,
Trigun. Nice.
Trigun. Don't take us down the Trigun CGI path. That's for another podcast.
It is Studio Orange though. It is Studio Orange.
Yeah.
So you got to. I was like, ugh. What did they do to Trigun? And then it's like, okay, wait. These guys made Beastars and Land of Lustrous. Benefit of the doubt here, people.
Yeah.
Right?
I'm very excited.
Spooder, I do want to ask you about the Western reception or the fan community getting involved with the Nichijou Discord or the Western fan community, because for me it was always like, yeah, there's a fan community for almost any anime you could find, and you can find a Discord server, but the Nichijou one in particular seems very passionate. Could you tell us how you got involved, how you when you started doing stuff? You've done so much stuff with that server.
Yeah, so when it comes to that, first of all, I joined in September 18, 2017 on that server, and it's so funny. It's really funny. The first message that I put in that server was, I hope this server doesn't die.
Yeah.
And I don't want to say I'm the reason, but I think I was a huge factor in keeping that place alive. And for me, it was like there was nothing around that time, 2017, because it's been 6 years since Nichijou came. Like no one kind of cared about it. People were starting to remember because they licensed Funimation licensed it, so they were sending Blu-rays to everyone. Like, hey, here it is. Go fuck yourself. Just buy it.
When was that? When they did the
2017
subtitle release? It was 2017. They did the subtitle release.
Because there's a lot of YouTubers that don't like to cover anime without an actual official way to watch it. Right. And around 2017, they brought back Nichijou to Crunchyroll. There's a really good video. You guys have to watch it. It's about how bad licensing was with Nichijou, and how like it came. It was like a game of cricket. Like it was getting like from a publisher to another publisher to another publisher. Like it kind of sucked for Kyoto when it came to that show. Like it wasn't that people didn't care about the show. It was mostly the publishers kind of fucking up, and since there was no way to watch it, people just didn't watch it because people preferred to just watch it on Crunchyroll or whatever. At this point, of course, because I guess it's the piracy is like the big thing still, but Crunchyroll is so mainstream right now, so people didn't know about what was Nichijou until Funimation came in and all of that. But reception wise, they are all so passionate, like from the very start. But it was like picking up on scraps because I joined like in the perfect time because there was nothing,
Yeah.
but they were just starting to release the manga in English.
Oh,
They
okay.
were around volume 2 actually, I think. I was there like waiting for volume 10 to get to me. I was going insane for it. And from that time we were just keep going and going and going and going, just like this is happening, yeah, sure, yeah, Nichijou, I guess. And we talked about it, like a lot of times, until it got stale, I guess, inside the Discord, because you can just talk about a show with 26 episodes with zero extra content from for years, you know.
Right. 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 No, absolutely. When did you switch from, consuming this kind of sedentary thing into producing content yourself?
I don't want to say
And
producing, just organizing.
okay, for context for the listeners here, I am holding in my hands right now a fanzine that was created. Yeah, and Spooder, you have one too. A fanzine from that is a result of the Nichijou Discord. Creating, getting all these people together and making this happen. And
Mhm.
this is not the only thing either. The other thing I want to talk to you about is after Nichijou's dub was announced, you guys did interviews with
Yeah,
just about every voice actor that
almost.
participated in that thing.
Almost.
Can you talk about these?
Brittany Love is yet to answer us back.
Okay, so she was the only one
Uh,
you couldn't get.
yeah. So yeah. But let me just go
Go
back to
for
the
it.
whole process, because yeah, it kept going like super slow, and then there was a point in time where Kyoto, around 2018, I think, they did like an expo where they had like these cutouts of all the shows they ever made. But for Nichijou, it only had one cutout, and that was it. But but we went insane for that because it's below that cutout it said never give up.
Oh,
We were going to talk about the financial and all that when it came to Nichijou, but
oh yeah, do it.
for us was like, holy shit, are they going to do something? They didn't,
Yeah.
but
No, they
uh,
did. They didn't. Yeah.
but yeah, it was kind of like shocking to see that, like see them like do this nod and say never give up. It's like they were recognizing that even though everything went wrong, they know this was special for people.
So to briefly talk about the thing we've alluded to twice is that Nichijou is this large production. It got two cores. It got the full Kyoto Animation treatment. Like it
Yes.
looks gorgeous. There's a lot of effort put into it. Like you said, of all everything about the music being recorded in different places and just the maximum. They got the full gambit of everything Kyoto Animation had to offer. And Nichijou famously bombed as sales
Hmm.
on DVD and Blu-ray sales, like to the point where it is staggeringly disappointing how badly Nichijou sold.
Yes.
Like,
Yeah.
and
Actually, sorry.
and well, no, the other thing I wanted to bring up was that in relation to a lot of things we've talked about over the course of Kyoto Animation going through their history is when they started to try and move away or how selective they've been on stuff like the Violet Evergarden, try and own their own intellectual properties, like make this financially viable. How do
Hmm.
you run the studio and get a big hit?
Yeah.
But also, not have to pay Kodansha and whoever else $1 billion. So this one I feel really hurt them
Yes.
after the successes that they had in the late 2000s, mid to late 2000s, and especially Disappearance was a huge money maker. It was a
Same for
big
K-On.
yeah, K-On too, like oh my god, the K-On movie, yeah. um and then just to have Nichijou completely bomb, it really was tragic, I think, and really affected kind of their outlook as a company, and what they chose to do going forward.
I don't know if it was the producer, the director, or the CEO in Kyoto, where they pretty much said that, yeah, we think that Nichijou was a bad investment. I recall
Yeah,
that. And I agree. Like yeah, of course, like we love the show and everything, but this hit them like super hard, like
yeah,
horribly hard. And it's weird because there's a lot of things that people talk about, like the earthquake, like the whole thing that happened in 2011,
right.
or that the Blu-rays were too expensive for what it was because it was $70 for 2 episodes, and and just a bit of the soundtrack. And you said, yeah, probably that, but then there was Madoka. I think it was $80, and that sold insanely
Right,
well.
right, right. Um,
Does
yeah,
it
no,
kind of strike you as like sort of like this almost needs to be like a prestige project? And would it have been better in the age of like streaming where they could have just taken a bunch of money from
Yeah,
Netflix and just have done something like this where you're like, okay, but when you're back in 2011, when you're sort of relying on, commercial success, especially when you still are very much getting your feet underneath you as a studio, like they've had a couple of hits at this point. Like, I mean, a couple, they had three, really. They had Haruhi, they had K-On, and they had
Clan.
Clanad, right? And
Yeah,
then but if you think of like what Trigger were doing with Cyberpunk, right? And what
yeah,
Misaki Yasa has been doing with like Devilman,
right.
or where you're like, okay, I can actually do these. We can get sort of semi artistic license here because we know that this is going to be consumed in a different way. The metrics for success are not what they are or what they were required to be in 2011.
Yeah, I wonder. That's a good question. I would actually think the opposite. I would think that the content and the way that the show is structured means that it was never going to succeed on that type of level, or it's just not marketable in the same way as your traditional anime, figure selling show is.
yeah, yeah.
Okay,
Because
what do
they,
you think then is a Hitalia model, where they
Oh,
were breaking it up and
yeah.
releasing instead of it said like you're tacking it on to the front of what's so say Hyoka's coming on right in a year
Yeah.
later, right, and Shinibio, right, so they have like 30 something episodes, so they almost have an episode of anime a week, right, coming up into, and say you use like 10 minutes on the back end where you're like, okay, and between 10 and 10:30, or between 10 and 10:15, we're going to have like uh
A
a
short?
a
I don't
condensed
know if shorts
version,
are
like
usefully
so like you're,
valuable.
yeah, basically, because you have it like they literally signposted, right, like My Ordinary Life part whatever, right,
Right,
so you
yeah.
have like one
Yeah.
skit from that, and then you maybe
yeah,
hop over to like the Soccer and Go Club for a bit, right? Because just because would have that possibly have worked, where it's running for like 3 years in a shorter time
No,
slot.
I honestly think that would have given it less respect in the community, honestly. The shorts are generally looked at somewhat differently than a full-length show.
I don't know about that because there's even like stuff like I think Pop Team Epic where it's just as popular as it is, and it's just 13 minutes, and the other 13
Sure.
minutes are just the same thing but redone
Different
Right,
by
VFs.
right,
male
right. Yeah.
by a male cast. So it's like I think I think how Twitter works, and I think that's gonna go with how I talk about the project. It's about how social media interacts with content now, which is like in a very flashy way. You watch it and then you move on, and it will succeed so well new today, because back then, yeah, the internet and everything,
Yeah.
but internet connections weren't that fast, so it's upload like clips and then watch them and then put them on Twitter and then edit them and do a lot of stuff.
Right.
I
So
feel
that's the thing is like Nichijou's clippable, right? Like it's shareable.
yeah,
You could take the principal suplexing the deer and you could
dude,
get somebody invested and they're like, "Oh, what is that? I want to watch that." And I've seen that happen in Reddit in like the 2020s, you know? I've seen
it's
people go
just
back and
like
discover Nichijou in that way.
I don't even use TikTok, but I just imagine how it would
Yeah.
work on TikTok and how perfect it was for that.
Yeah,
Yeah,
or
yeah.
Instagram, or even
Like
YouTube. Like they
because
could
that's how it
like
works.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because
you
I don't want to go boomers or whatever, but yeah, I think like how social media works, and I don't want to say attention spans, is just how media is consumed now. It's perfect now. That's why
Yeah.
people are picking up on it now, because it's now in the perfect time. It was ahead of of its time.
I think it's like very much like I don't know what the financial repercussions or like the legal repercussions will be for Kyoto Animation as a studio, but if I was trying to launch like a YouTube space with like exclusive content, like they have a bunch of like ad spots and all that, right, and a few like shorts that they did for like exhibitions, but like if you put like the entire like eat like the deer scene, we'll use the deer scene because it's about 4 or 5 minutes, right,
Yeah.
as a
Yeah.
Hmm.
scene like on their YouTube channel, like you could do that, like there's literally you have enough clips there that you could do that for a long time and regularly uploading onto their exclusive YouTube channel. I definitely think like a show feels like definitely like more suitable to 2022, and it kind of makes sense why it
Right.
has a life, or it started to get a life beyond its initial run. And we could have talked about this during our Atomical Market episode when we were saying that like certain shows just don't necessarily have their time when you think it's supposed to happen, and we're kind of like
Right.
hoping that like Flip Flappers might be one of those shows in the future where
God, that
it sort of
show.
finds its sort of it finds its place in the sun, shall we say. And definitely like the memification of of
You guys,
the world in
you know what?
2022.
You what? You have convinced me. I will say. You have I have come around that. Yeah, I would love some different type of marketing for Nichijou.
Out of
Yeah.
curiosity, there's like a bit of a heritage of British TV shows that follow a similar style
Yeah,
structurally to Nichijou, in
I think
terms of
about
like,
Lemmy
I was
when it
kind of
comes
wondering,
to that.
is Lemmy or like the Fast Show? Or like anything that Harry Enfield was doing was like very similar to this. There's a series of like reoccurring, I want to say like set pieces, we'll say, for like the crazy antics of these characters. But I cannot think of anything like any like North American examples, shall we say? And I'm wondering, as like maybe you guys are that's your continent. Maybe you guys have experience with something like similar to this, or is this like very much like an alien creature
Uh-huh.
in terms of like the structure?
So I think, as far as I know, there was no comedy like that. It would just the
No.
only thing we had as far as comedy was stand up comedy. But I don't think there was any type of sketch comedy at all. The only thing I would be aware of, yeah, is British stuff.
Yeah,
I
Okay,
don't
well,
think
okay.
anything like it exists. Correct me if I'm wrong, but no, there was no, and perhaps that goes into like reception or why it didn't succeed in the way that it did because people weren't primed for it. I don't know.
it
Yeah,
was very different.
yeah, it definitely
Well,
was. Even if you look at the what was kind of like either coming before and afterwards in terms of Kyoto Animation, like it's not like Yoka, and it's not like, well, it's kind of like, I guess you could sort of squint and see it with K-On, but not really. And then you
Not
put
really.
that with
Yeah.
like the anime that it's in space, like how epic and how grand the anime of 2011 was in terms of the scope. You know what I mean? We're talking
Yeah.
about like we're subverting magical girl tropes here, or we got whatever the fuck Penguin Drum was doing, and Steins Gate. There's like big
Yep.
sweeping epics where we're
yeah.
having your attention, we're holding it, and you're like really focusing on these characters. We're making iconic characters here and iconic story beats, and you're gonna go through a riot of emotions. And here we're sort
Yeah.
of like, it's just like we're
Memes.
doing different things, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
you kind of wonder, it's like the audience maybe wasn't either emotionally ready for that, or
Yeah.
mentally ready for it, or just not. That's not what an audience wanted in 2011.
I
Especially when
feel
you have less
too.
of something, right? Because now we get so much shit, right? It was like, oh, this is exactly what I need. But back then, it's like, well, I get to buy one anime DVD. Do I
Like,
want to buy, Steins Gate, or do I want to get like this sketch comedy that I maybe don't really understand?
yeah.
Maybe there's a lot of reasons why it failed.
Yeah, like I think about what you say, and I think a big factor for me could be also how they work with the cast of characters, because there's a big difference. Like the way you talked about all of these shows, and I feel that something that a lot of companies or studios try to do is that you get hooked with a certain character and you talk about that character and think about that. But Nichijou is, I don't want to say that like all the characters are like one dimensional, but all of them serve a purpose. They don't, and they nail that, and that's it for the most of it, of course. And that's something that probably beforehand they, who cares? I think that's the way I would say it. But even now, like I think like some shows have picked that up. Like I think also Matsu like nails that so well. Like this character is like this, and he will only work like this, and that's it. And they go with it, and works. It works so well if you do it that way, because they want people to get invested with just one character, and I think that's cool. But it's cool to just try and do something extremely different, and from
So,
there, instead of going like, "Oh, I just appreciate this character," you go the other way,
yeah.
and
Yeah.
it's I appreciate everything. I appreciate the world.
Right.
I
Right.
appreciate
So
this world.
again, we're back at the theme of Nichijou. Like our ordinary lives may in fact be full of miracles. That thing.
Yeah,
Uh, So yes, I 100% agree with everything related to the characters, even not having a plot, even being a sketch comedy. That's kind of why I say it was never going to succeed in that way. But you've brought up characters, so let's get into, I guess, characters, if you guys would like.
Me.
My I have to say that for me, in the scope of things, you said that, I do appreciate everybody. Do really like a lot of the characters in Nichijou,
Mm-hmm.
but for me, Yuko is just like so so special. Really love everything that she brings. The neuroticism, the memes, the inability to take anything seriously.
The
Uh,
ADHD.
yeah, she pretty much does, doesn't she? Really? Yeah.
Yeah.
Uh,
She's my least favorite character.
What?
that's tragic.
No way.
Honestly, because it's like it's hard to say. Like, it's when you say that, it sounds like you don't like her, right? Which is not the case.
How dare
I was
you?
just there's something I think there's something so like lovely about like Nano, the robot girl. And
Yes.
I fucking like.
Yes.
There's one thing I always found it's just hilarious is like overreactive kind of like Fujoshis. And I just
Oh, so
dude,
Mio.
Mio
Mio?
is like I just like
Yeah.
love Mio. She's so funny. She is so funny. And also the girl with the glasses, the stoic girl, the sort of Yuki
My
Nagato figure.
Yeah.
Yeah, dude, she is just like because initially I was like, she'd probably be the one to be kind of cool too. But dude, she kills me every time with Yuko
Oh,
Yeah.
because
so
Yuko has that sort of like leading light problem where she's like the main character in it. In a show that doesn't really have main characters, she sort of gets a little bit more screen time, I'd say, than most of their
Yeah.
characters.
right.
And inherently, it's almost like, oh, okay, yeah, you're good, but I kind of like these like little nuggets that we get from when other characters get to shine. She's so
So
present, I'll say, all the
y-
time, where the other characters feel a
Yeah.
little bit more like up and down.
Yuko's like a vehicle. She's like a thing that other characters like
I
react off of,
I was going
or
to say that.
vehicle for
Yeah.
comedy. Yeah, yeah. You hit
Because
it.
like when I think about the main cast, I talk about the being one dimensional, and I think the main cast at least has two dimensions, maybe. But it's
Yeah.
mostly that. For example, Juko is probably the reactionary to everything, while my shows itself as a very like a very silent and serious person, but then she has like this entire like physics destroying logic behind her. And then there's Mio that is like the most extremely normal once you actually peel that mask off of how insane she is. Nano is like this extremely kind but normal girl, but she's a robot and she has like all these features that make her really scared. And Hakase is this girl that she's cute and everything. She acts like just like a girl, but she's a boy genius, kind of. And then
We
there's
actually got to talk
Sakamoto.
about that. You said she's cute and everything. You kind of undersold it, right?
Yeah, oh
Hakase is
yeah, totally.
fucking adorable.
I'm just
Oh,
going to.
really?
So
I'm trying to go as fast as I
I'm
can.
gonna update the kyo-ani power board of cute characters, right? So it was Kana 1A, Kana 1B. I would put her above Dragon Maid Kana, and
Whoa.
just below Tamako Market Kana.
I
She
think
is
her voice is
so
incredible.
fucking cute, dude.
Yeah.
Oh my god, I could like because I was like. I was kind of like, oh, just take the fucking thing off her back, because Nana is so fucking
Nah,
pure, dude. I was like, oh, it's poor Nana. Like, I had a lot of poor, but Hakase would just be like, when she had like her moments where she's like, when she sort of like reverted to her childishness, like her more extreme
yeah.
childishness.
Yes.
God, dude, I'm
yes.
like, that character is so masterfully like done. Like for what
It's
they
an
want to do,
incredible
it's
dynamic.
fucking incredible.
It's an
Yep.
incredible dynamic for because it's the back and forth of who's the mother figure and who's the
Yup.
child,
Yup. Who's
and
the
they
adult?
and both
Yep.
of them share that so well. Like Nano acts as a mother, but she's also the child. But while Hawkins is the creator, but she's also the child. So they
Yup.
go back and forth with how that works, and then Sakamoto's like in the middle, trying to put them like in their place, but he kind of fails every time he tries to do it.
Yup.
And it's such an incredible dynamic, and they are so natural.
So we should also say that that dynamic extends to the rest of the cast too.
Yes,
I really
yes,
appreciated the scenes. Something like Mai and Yuko, they have scenes together. They have entire skits together where not only are they very funny, like the one of my favorites is the when they're sitting on the bank of the riverbank, and
like in the
they're
hill. Yeah,
yeah, Mai's just trolling her, and as she does. and but you could see the relationship grow. You could see the endearment that Mai has, even Mai for Hakase and the dogs and the things.
And
Um,
that goes with the manga too, with what
y-
happens at the end.
yeah,
It's so
yeah,
good.
and there's a relationship between all of them that you kind of it's very subtle, it's very slow, it's in the background to the comedy, but by
Yeah.
the end you kind of are like endeared to all of them and feel that
Mhm.
they have grown in their relationship,
There's
which
also
yeah,
yeah. Sorry.
it,
No,
go
keep
ahead.
going. I'm sorry.
No, it's also one of the things too that I think um Kyoto Animation just nailed it on adapting the manga, and
Yes.
not just making it a comedy manga. It could just be a comedy manga, but they really went out of their way to make the warm fuzzy part of this show become something tangible and meaningful and hold a lot of weight for everybody that gets through it.
Yeah. Yeah, and I was going to say, right, just you say how they change as they go. It also goes with Mio and how she hides her manga and
Totally,
everything. And then
totally
it goes to the
accepts it.
point where they develop and she invites him to her house to help her with her manga. And
Right.
she cherishes that, she cherishes what she cherishes the most.
Yes.
And she
Yep.
cares about all of them and how even like the 25th episode where they remind her of how much they love her as a friend with the little
Yep.
like the certificate of friendship. It's so adorable and everything
Yep.
like goes together. Like it's a slow burn of for sure,
Yeah.
but it's just to flesh out everything because of course there's also the entire arc of how Nano goes to
Yes,
school
I was
because
about to say
that's not in the
that's one of
manga.
the things they changed, right? That's one of the adaptations that they did in the series composition from adapting
Yeah.
this four panel manga, or not four panel, but a manga
Four
comedy
comma.
manga.
Wait, is it a
Yeah,
four comma?
Four,
it's
it's a
not.
four
It's not.
comma.
It's not.
At the
Really?
first, at the start, it's kind of like a four comma, I would say.
Then it gets a
It
little.
really felt like it. I was kind of curious when you guys were talking about the manga. I was like, wait, this was not a four comma. I was like, my assumption was that this was a four comma, like in the style of like K-On, I think was originally, and like
Yeah,
I would say
K-On!
that's
Chihiro
as a
Definitely
Aguro.
was.
manga too.
So I was like,
But
okay,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
what were we saying?
I think you're going to
Oh,
get it onto
the
the successfulness of like, or what kyo-ani added to like the
yes, the
trans.
relationship.
Yeah,
So they changed the
Yes.
relationship. Correct me if I'm wrong here, Spooder, but they changed the relationship of the uh Nano in with the other girls, right?
Yes. She has a like incredible arc at the end.
Yeah,
Like from that point from episode 13 where she joins school
right,
to afterwards, it's in this entire arc of accepting herself as who she is because she's still extremely nervous about everyone thinking she's a robot, even though everyone knows she's a robot.
right,
And it's this part of, hey, you are a nano, and that's it. You are nothing else
right.
but that, and you don't have to overthink it. You have to accept yourself, and she accepts herself at the end once she realizes she doesn't want to remove her key anymore. And
Yep,
it has such a beautiful message from
it's so
Hakase.
good.
Like it sounds like a joke how she says it, and they talk about it as a joke, but she says you you cannot remove the key, but everyone else can. But
Yeah,
but you can put the key back to you.
yeah,
So for me, it's like for me personally, it goes like how relationships work, where I cannot change who I am as a person, but everyone else influences that. But I will always be me, no matter what happens. No matter if someone removes the key off me, I can always put it back, and I can always be myself again. It's such a beautiful message for me.
yeah.
It's
And
so
Nichijou
pretty.
works on that level. Like it's
Yeah.
there. It hits you in those moments. The other thing that goes along with that tonally for me has always been the endings, specifically in the second part
Hmm.
of the show. I love
Yes.
ZZZ, but the
Mm.
second part of the show has a different ending for every episode, and
Hmm.
it's a choir arc or choir arc. No, it's just the people singing
Yeah.
and a cappella usually, right? Or just with a
Yeah, and
light accompaniment. Yeah.
even the last episode is the six voice actors singing the graduation song from the actual high school.
Ah, okay,
It's so
okay, that makes
pretty.
sense.
Like,
Yeah,
but yeah, everything else are like just songs that are mostly for children, I would say, because they are like all traditional songs from over there.
right, right, right. They do the one I've always made or loved and did a meme about is "Give Me Wings,"
Yeah,
Subaso Kudasai. You know,
Kyo-ani loves that song.
You want to
yeah,
talk
I was
about, you
about
want
to
to talk about your
say.
meme there, Kai?
Yes,
I
yes.
saw it in
Here's
notes.
my meme. I thought of this myself, so this is my meme. I'm going to explain it to you on this audio podcast. But so it's Subaso Kudasai is this traditional Japanese song that is in a lot of things. It's in Evangelion. It's in Aeon. It's the first song they play together as a band. You know, give me wings, I'll fly away. You know, it's even got an English translation. What's her face sang it?
Oh,
Baby
what's her
Metal.
face?
Yeah,
Baby
what's her
Mel?
face? You know, she's British. The British lady who sang it. Um,
The British
so
lady.
I have a Venn diagram, and one of the Venn diagram segments has a 10 out of 10 cover of Tsubasa Kudasai. Give me wings. So
Yeah.
yes, there are those things that I mentioned that have that. And then on the bottom we have world-class kyo-ani production values, and you've got, you know, the disappearance of Haruhi Suzumiya, you've got Violet Evergarden, you've got K-On! Has both, you know. And then on the right you have over the top absurd violence. And Violet Evergarden and Evangelion have that, and I put Kill Bill over there too.
It was the first thing I saw when I saw the diagram. I was like, Kill Bill.
Yeah, and in the middle, of course, is Nichijou. Only
The
one
center of the
has all three.
universe. Yeah.
Yep,
There you go. Yeah.
the
Mhm.
perfect
Maybe
show.
that meme is like it's very hard to explain a visual like
I
meme.
tried. Yeah,
You did a very good,
people are gonna love
admirable
it.
job, an admirable job, and that's a good sell, right? Like, hey kids, do you like violence? Do you like to laugh with your violence, and do you like great animation?
You want
Yeah,
Well, have
some
I got
good
the
ass
show for
music?
you?
yeah, yes, exactly.
I actually think this is the kind of like this is what kyo-ani's on. It's sort of like
Like their
literally its
pitch?
best. Because I think because I think Dragon Maid has a similar sort of vibe. Okay, take out
Yeah,
the cover of the song, and even like a lot of my favorite parts of Chinibyo have it as well, where it's just sort of like where sort of like they play into her sort of tuniness, and they sort of like give a visual flair to her fantasies, and it's just so fucking good. And like when Kana and Toru
Yeah.
are sort of like playing, and it looks like something from a fucking like Dragon Ball GT, you're just like, my god, this is amazing. Like when they
yeah,
go,
and, and
oh
and you're like, they did not have to go that hard.
no,
And
not at
Yeah.
all.
I think for a lot of those things, or the Dragon Maid thing, and I think you get a little bit of value out of that, of just the animation, and like you said, the Chunibyo one as well. But that's for why I think it works better for Nichijou is that's the entire joke. Like that's the
Mhm.
point. When the Yuko has the hallway running scene, when Yuko has Mio's drawing, and she's taken off, right? Like she's bolting down the hallway, and and Mio is
She
drawing, and
runs
they
like a
like
savage.
yeah, they're just running full speed, and there's all these lines and these intensity things and the pacing of it, and just the directing and the shot composition is just so much. There's
Yeah.
so much action, and that's the entire joke, right? Is that it means that much to them again and again. That's what Nichijou is, the exaggeration,
The
the
exaggeration in the
emphasis
little things.
is the joke.
Yeah.
And the all the visual style. Another one of my favorites, and I talk about it in my video, is the bald gag wig. Right, same thing. Right, Mai is trolling Yuko, and the only thing that is funny is Yuko's reactions to Mai's antics.
Yeah.
And those are like so creative. They're so interesting of how they portray Yuko's reactions. That's the joke. That's part of what makes it so funny.
Insecurities too. Like there's like this clip where Yuko tries to make a lot of jokes with Mio and Mine they kind of ignore her.
Yeah,
But they display her insecurities as these big mountains.
true. Yes.
That's how they
Yes.
do it, and it's like, yeah, this is unreachable, but I have to make them laugh. And she just keeps going and going with her insecurities, and she tries to top herself and be better with the jokes, and
Stag
just
beetle. Stag beetle.
that video everything. And
Yeah.
she just ends up being thrown to a train, like kind of punishing her for all her bad jokes.
So that's the thing. That's the thing is you brought it back to it exposes the character's insecurities, and I think the same thing with Mai with when she like does the thing on the goat and the police officer and everything, trying not to give
Yeah,
them it's the same type of how much this means to her is evident in the exaggeration. So it's not only
Well,
the humor aspect, it's the character aspect is all through the production values.
about that, I think about what you guys said in Hibike when it comes to the budget smile.
Budget
I,
smile, yes.
there's an incredible payoff when it comes to that, and it's when she takes the Hakase's drawing of a shark, and she goes up the
Oh,
hill, and she looks at the shark, and then she just looks at the sky, and like this beautiful animation of her, and just like she's reflecting that there's someone
yes.
there to appreciate and love.
Yes, that's no, that's 100% right. And like I said, the everything flows together in this way that it probably shouldn't, or I haven't seen very much in any other anime. And that's a great example of it, of how do you use your resources? How do you
Yes,
use the music and the animation and the directing, and is it for laughs, but it's also for the emotional impacts. And
yeah.
man, uh, pristine, pristine.
It's just incredible. And like, just as you say that the big animations, the big like money shots, I would call them. There's
Yeah,
also for me the whole like the little things either too, because that's what Nichijou is for me. Like also the big things that are in your life and you think about and love. There's also the small things, and for me, like small things like there's a certain scene that only takes like 3 seconds of that episode, and it's like this big shot of like all the classmates, and every single classmate doing something completely different, and
yeah,
one of them is this girl unfolding her lunchbox, and it's so well animated. It has
yeah.
no reason for them to do that. And then there's also the eraser clip where Mio asks Juko
No,
to give
no.
her the eraser. And
Yeah.
no, no, not that one. The one with
Oh,
the pencil eraser. When they
oh,
are
okay.
like in a cafe, and then Mio goes like, "Come on, give me the eraser," and they do this incredibly smooth animation to emphasize, like Mio insisting her to give her the eraser, and it's not like exaggerated. It's just the flow of
Oh,
everything. It's just like
I get you.
the little things
I
that
get you.
just
And
make the flow of everything. Because if they did like a shopping animation of this, or just like try to do a close up instead of showing the full thing, it will kind of don't not feel like Nichijou or like this animation. Everything flows so
you know
well.
where I see that? You know where I see that again is the we talked about the interstitials, right? The background animation in the
Yes.
interstitials. It's just like so like you could just wallpaper it immediately no matter what it is.
Hmm.
And that's where I feel I see that in the small moments. Yeah.
It's
So
so beautiful.
we should talk now about your favorite gags or your favorite jokes. And I have a lot. I've written down many, but I would like to hear yours or what hit you in particular.
Who are you
Yada,
talking
Spooder, either
to?
way. I don't
I or
know.
Yata?
All right, I'll go first because I have one,
Yeah,
and then
go
I'm going to let
first.
you guys go
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
because
yeah.
there was an easy winner for me. I think it was the Castle in the Sky one, where
Yes.
we got the origin
Ah,
story of her cubes, Mia's her
Oh
cubes.
yeah, the cute.
I've said this a bunch of times on the podcast. Like one of the foundational sort of like anime sort of touchstones in my life was Studio Ghibli, and
yes.
getting this like homage because I was thinking about it. I was thinking like it's hard not to have the mind drawn to Pop Team Epic and
Hmm.
other kind of like skit shows like that. And with Pop Team Epic, it was so referential, and a part of me was wondering what like a Nichijou referential gag would be like, you know. And then we
Yeah,
got this one, which I think was like really the first time it sort of really broke the mold in terms of like the reality that they were in.
right.
Um,
Yeah,
with this like, and I literally thought I was watching the wrong anime for like a minute or two because
Yeah.
it was
Yeah, me
like,
too.
but I was like, wait, no, it's so well animated, and I could sort of see like the kind of continuity in terms of like the character design, where it's like, no, I'm pretty certain this is Nichijou, and then it started getting more and more sort of like silly, and I'm like, oh no, this is Nichijou. And I fucking loved it. Dude. I must have watched that like 3 times. That was the moment. And that was the moment his heart grew 4 sizes and he realized this show was one of the better ones.
Yay.
Fucking loved it. It's what
that
I
also
wanted to
goes
share with my
across like
brother. I
yeah,
have a lot of people in my life who fucking like really, really rate like Cast in the Sky as like the best Studio Ghibli movie, which it isn't, but it's like it's
yeah,
not. It's not. We know what it
no.
is.
I haven't
Yeah.
watched that one actually. I'm yet to finish all of Ghibli's.
Well, it's kind of like Kyoto Animation. They're there when they need to be, taken down. I would say it's not a race to finish them, right? And there's a lot. There's like 20 something. But yeah, I fucking love that. I thought it was such a good one. It was a great reference to like the commitment to the bit because that was about 7 minutes.
Oh, I was
You
about to
know?
say it goes over like a couple episodes, doesn't it?
It's 3 episodes.
Yeah, I was about
But
to
they
say.
are not like next to each other. One is like in episode 8, the other one is in episode 15, the other one is 24. And for the third one, I was like, wait, what element of Mio are they going to show? And I was like waiting for it because Mio shows up at the last one. And I was like,
Yeah,
wait,
yeah.
so what it is? So what it is? And when I saw like the pom poms, like and the guy running, I was like, oh my fucking god, it's the pigtails.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
lost it. I lost it.
Like the end of that joke, I have fan art. Actually, the only piece of Nichijou fan art I have ever seen at a convention, I bought immediately, and it's the cubes falling onto Mio's hair
Such a
at
good
the end
shot
of that
too.
joke. It's so good. And then Yuko wakes up. It's like,
It's so fun because she just wakes up and they just move on to the next clip. Like they don't care. They
yeah,
don't care.
yeah.
They don't elaborate. They don't care.
Yes, exactly, yes.
Yeah, that would be mine. Now you guys can. I saw that I'm sure there's an extensive list. So what I would
This is my
say
list.
is, like, don't he gets his notebook out. So I would say, limit yourself to 3 or 4. 'Cause
Sure. We could be here all day.
you could literally be here all day.
So
Oh
who do you want to go?
what's mine? Funny enough, one of my favorite clips that made me burst out laughing was one of the background one of the stills, and it was like this one where Sasahara just walks in and he makes a pose and it just like a huge explosion and they just move on to the next thing. I don't know why that killed me so badly at the time. Like there's no dialogue, there's nothing, just it lasts for like 5 seconds, but it's so good. Like with the beautiful like background, then and then there's that one, and of course for me it will always be. And it took me a while to understand why, but just the masterful editing of that episode alone is enough to that. Even though I didn't get it at first, for it to keep in my head like forever. And it's the elevator scene.
Locked
I
in the
wanted to
elevator.
ask you guys
Yep.
about that elevator scene because
Yep.
initially I was like, "Is this an Evangelion reference?" And then it was like, it was
No.
getting weirder and weirder and weirder, and I was like, "What the fuck is going on here?"
Did you get the joke?
No, I didn't get the joke. That's what I wanted to ask you guys
So
about.
it's territory. Territory rules are that if you say a word with the letter N at the end, you lose. So Juko says, "Hey, you want to play territory?" Yes. Okay. Orange in Japanese ends with N. So at the start of the game, she already lost, and that's why they just warp and they turn into these monstrous things because they cannot believe she just did that.
But I
They
mean,
are
it's like
going insane.
there was a lot going on with that clip. Like what? So they're in the elevator, and then there was like
Yes.
the weird sort of ambient music that was going on behind it, and also you had this weird sort of slide acrosses.
Yeah.
Like
You had the paneling.
yeah,
Yeah.
like I had like 100 questions, right?
Dude, and
And I was like,
then
I
even
literally
like,
because I literally was like,
oh
is this just this is the elevator scene in Evangelion, right? Is that what I'm seeing here? And then it got
no,
weirder and
No,
weirder and
different
weirder
vibes
and weirder,
entirely.
and I was like,
Yeah.
fuck, dude, I was like fascinated and also like
yeah.
I didn't understand any of that. Yeah,
Error.
it was
That
Error?
that joke was the one where I literally my face was hurting from laughing so hard. That is absolutely one of my favorites.
Yeah, like the editing and
Absolutely.
on it is incredible. Like
It's
even
so
like the
good.
part where her like draw just goes over the box and it just keeps growing. I mean, it's so funny. It's so well done. It's so good.
There's so many. Um I'm gonna give you a couple quick hits here because we're not gonna dwell on them. But I mentioned the bald wig. You can watch my video for that. You can suplex the deer. That one's super famous. I love the glue gag on Sakamoto
God,
and
yes.
everything. That one's a fun one, uh, but it's not super great. The House of Cards. House of
Yes.
Cards
Tom
is
and Jerry shit. Holy shit.
yeah. There's a
Tom and Jerry shit.
portion there's a portion of Nichijou where the entire segment has no words, and they convey them building a house of cards and all the drama that goes along with it with no words, and they commit to it in the joke. That one's pretty great.
Yeah.
Also directed by Naoko Yamada.
Oh, there you go. Obligatory mention for the episode.
Yay! Shout outs.
I think she might not have been mentioned in the Monto episode, by the way.
I don't
So
know.
we may have to
She
fix that in
wasn't
post.
around for that one. She
I
wasn't
know. Well,
around for that
we
one.
could have said, meanwhile, when Monto was being released, Naomi Yamada was getting an 83 in her English test.
Yeah, I was about to say she was 16. Yeah.
Is
Oh.
Naoko the one that did K-On, or who is Naoko?
Yes, yeah, she did K-On! And Liz and the
Okay, yeah.
Bluebird, Tamako Market. She's sort of
Oh,
like she
wow.
has recently left Kyoto
Yes.
Animation to work with Science
She
Saru.
did like a really good looking show. I saw. Like, I
Heike
really need to watch it.
Monogatari
Yeah.
with Science Art. Yep.
Need to watch it.
That's one of my weird. I had a sort of weird,
Yeah.
like, sad moment where it's like, well, I love Science Saru because of Misaki Yasa and with the work that he's done, and I also love Naoki Yamada. So why am I so fucking unhappy that she went there? You know?
Yeah. I don't love Yuasa as much, but good on her for making her
Mhm.
way and doing what she wants to do. Maybe
Yeah.
someday
she might have her own animation studio when it's all said and done anyway. Probably.
Right. She's
Yeah.
about as big a name as you could possibly get in the anime industry.
Yeah, she feels like she's next up, right?
Yeah.
In terms of like,
yeah.
if
Whatever she wants to
Makoto
do.
Shinkai is like a made man now,
Yeah.
it feels like Naoki Yamada is next. Like,
She really has her feast of it. Okay, some of the best ones. Okay, there's one where what's the teacher's name? The teacher that's
There's a lot of teachers.
the neurotic one.
I'm gonna name them all: Nakamura, Sakurai, Takasaki.
So the one that's in love with Sakurai. The one that's in love with Sakurai.
Takasaki, yeah.
Takasaki. Okay. The one joke where like he wants to go do something else, but he wants to go see Sakurai at the same time. And there's like some emergency happening. I don't even remember what the specifics are, but there's like the girl's like, Mr. So-and-so, we need you right now. and then he results with one of the punchlines is just draw some eyes on the ping pong balls and he'll be fine. Make him awake. That joke's so good.
Oh, they do another joke with that guy that I love where he goes, okay, I'll go, and then Anaka goes, but it's the other way, and he just slowly rotates.
Yeah, the visual comedy.
Like,
oh, okay.
So good.
Well, let's move on then. Do we want to get to the end of the episode stuff? Do you want to get to recommendations and where we put this in our grand scheme of things? Okay. What else would you recommend if you like Nichijou? We've already brought up Dragon Maid, right? That's one of the things that I think is pretty obvious.
Osumatsu.
What did you say?
Osumatsu-san.
Oh, Osumatsu-san. Yeah, sure, totally. It's kind of a comedy, right?
It's a skit comedy, just like Nichijou, just extremely more like toilet humor.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Gotcha. And in that vein, another skit comedy that I would always bring up is Kill Me Baby, which aired close to Nichijou actually back in 2012, I think, or 2011.
Yeah.
Very much I liked it. I liked the humor in that show. And I think if you would laugh at Nichijou, you'd laugh at Kill Me Baby.
Okay, I got a few actually. Chio School Road, I thought it's a 4-comma adaptation sketch comedy. Feels like it's not on the same level as Nichijou, but I found it quite enjoyable. Yuri.
Sure. Yuri. Yeah. That's a good one.
Of course, Dragon Maid. And Pop Team Epic.
Epic.
I'm a bit offended, guys.
What?
None of you are gonna say Asumanga Daioh?
Asumanga Daioh?
Well, you did mention it early on in the episode, so I figured you were going to do it again. So
funny enough, for me, Asumanga Daioh was a show that I watched after Nichijou, and I dropped it at first.
Yeah,
that was really funny to me. But I came back and to be honest, I think I prefer the characters in Asumanga than in Nichijou. I think Nichijou is a much better show. When we talk about world building, as I said, because I do think that the characters in Asumanga grow and they are incredible. But yeah, I think Asumanga.
As well.
Yeah.
That's a good
I watched 2 episodes of it. I dropped it.
I think a lot of Aso Asabase, it's the animation style, like whether you can get behind it or not, because I don't think it's particularly pretty. So you kind of have to. I found I had to like get past the sort of the character design and the sort of like what they were going for. Because with Nichijou, it's very like it's not moe blob, but it is quite pleasing to look at. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And as
Sure.
Asabas said, there's almost an element of the grotesque, which is
Yeah.
horrible. That sounds really exaggerated, but I don't think it looked particularly good.
For sure. But schoolgirls,
Oh,
yeah.
I'm
Yeah,
gonna
I get you.
say, less thing about the comedy, and I think a lot about just the insight of how humans work and how beautiful life is. It would how they talk about all that. I think Girls Last Story always comes up to mind for me.
Okay, I
Okay,
can see it.
It's
Appreciate the
it's
here
an
and now. The Mono
incredible
no
insight.
Awade. Yeah.
Yeah,
nice. I did not see that one as a recommendation. Good choice. Also, I think 2016, by the way.
yeah.
Okay. Making the case.
Making the case for 2016.
All right, so then we'll move on to the ranking in our Kyoto Animation hierarchy tier
Oh
list,
no.
which
Oh
we
no.
don't have it up right now, but in the grand scheme,
Let's be real about it. It's basically fighting for two positions. It's either going to be an A with Clanad or an S with Sound Euphonium, right? I think we can
Oh
it
discard.
no.
really an A.
I haven't watched any of those.
Well, it's okay. It's okay. Because generally, what we would do with the guests is we just like where if you had a fictional tier list, right? Are you putting this in
Okay.
S tier, A tier, B, C, D, or anywhere below? I don't think we've ever actually gone as far as like anything in F, right? Like even Myriad Colors Phantom World didn't get an F. So I've, let's be real. It's either A or S.
Yeah.
Well, see, the we're inherently skewed here because I specifically chose Nichijou because I don't get a chance to talk about Nichijou. I put it on
Yeah.
the list for this podcast, so I am biased. Spoder is biased,
Yeah.
You're gonna do
so
this
we're
to me.
gonna leave it on you. Yeah, come on.
Yeah.
See, this is
It's mostly
when
on you, man.
okay. So here I was thinking about this because I literally in my neuroses assumed this was going to happen, and I settled on either S tier but below Sound Euphonium or A tier but above Clanad. Does that make sense? So it's either an A plus or an S minus. That's what I thought it was personally because this comes into my own biases as a consumer. I really fucking find myself gravitating towards like characters, and but then I was like, shit, am I doing the Oscar thing where I'm sort of like underselling the value of comedy? You know what I mean? Do I not appreciate comedy enough to get like? And then I started, I
Right.
really started getting into my own head, and I just blew up. So this is my last act in the world. So I'm gonna say I'm comfortable with both because I can see like production wise it's an S tier, like comedy wise it's an S tier. My only thing is the
Editing.
fact that I could possibly wanted a little bit more from the characters. So I'm
We're gonna let
Yeah.
you
straddling.
stew.
I
We're gonna
understand
let
that.
you keep going. Come on, boil in your
Okay.
pot.
Okay.
No,
Yeah.
no. I'm messing with you. I'm messing with you. I'm
Yeah,
messing with
I feel like I'm getting
you.
that like that Mio and what's it the bit where she
The
was trying to tell
silent
it.
treatment.
Yes, like shit. I'm just gonna let him talk himself into a state of anxiety and then watch him as he unravels.
Yeah. No, I totally. This is like one of my favorite shows of all time. It really is. I have the manga. I have the dub here. I have the, so whatever. I'm gonna put it in S tier.
Yeah, me
Okay.
too.
I'm fine. I'm fine putting it below Hibike Euphonium too. Like absolutely.
So S tier. Let's agreed.
Yeah.
Sure.
S
Yeah,
for
go watch it. Go
Done.
watch
S
it.
for super. Yeah, you gotta watch it.
No, S for Selamat Pagi. Damn
Super,
it. Damn it.
I
super
could
ultra
never
mega
remember. I could
delicious.
never remember
Cannot
those words.
understand.
Oh my god! I actually literally this happened. This happened in our anime chat at work. We have a Slack channel, an anime chat, and then somebody came in and said "Salamat Pagi," and they were just from Southeast Asia. They were just from I don't know, what is it, Malaysian? I don't know what language is from, Indonesian.
I think it was
And
Indonesian.
yeah, and then I put the clip of Yuko saying "Salamat Pagi" in the thing, and he was like, "Oh yeah, that is the thing. That is an anime." I was just saying good morning in my native language. Thought that was funny.
And then you went and made it weird.
Yeah, I said "Salamat
No, that was
Malam."
great.
Yeah.
I big ups to the Slack chat, an anime chat
Oh
for the
yeah, the
work.
anime chat at work. Yeah,
I
shout out to those
could
guys.
never get one of those going at work.
Yeah, fun.
Let's side.
So now I want to throw it back to our guest and give you the floor, Spoder, to talk about everything that you've done in the Discord, everything that you put together.
Hmm.
anything that you want to bring up in regards to the city manga, in regards to anything that's going on, or whatever you've done. You interviewed voice actors, man. That's like so cool.
Yeah. So first of all, City. For me, City was a hit and miss.
Yeah, yeah, I
Uh,
think as much.
but I think it's just peak Arai's art style. I think he finally understood what he wanted out of his art style. So when it comes to the community itself, as I said beforehand, they have been like my bread and butter when it comes to my entire life. Now they are what I am now, and for the most part, like I started doing things in the Discord. I think the very first thing I did, where I was like, you know what, I'm bored, I want to do something different. They're not gonna do anything. So
Yeah.
what if we do like a Hunger Games simulator and we put like everyone together and just do like silly little stuff about that?
Oh,
And
that's fun.
we did
Yeah.
Hunger Games, we did group watches, we did a couple of things here or there, but it started to escalate when it started to say, hey, let's try this, let's try that. And one of the big things was uh some guys, shout outs to Carl, by the way, if you're listening, I love you. He's the catalyst to everything because he went to Anime Expo. I think it was Anime Expo, and he met Jenny McKeon. And Jenny McKeon is the one that translated the manga, and he told her about the community, how hungry we are for just content, and everything else. And she DM'd me later on
Wow.
because he gave her my contact, and hey, let's do an AMA. Yeah, I was like, yeah, sure. Holy shit, what? Like the first official like person, what?
Yeah, that's
And
awesome.
we did like a small AMA. We put like a slowdown. Hey, everyone, just throw just questions. She's going to answer them when she can. And she was there with us. And but never nothing happened after that. I did try to contact Monica Royal around
So
that
this was
time.
after the dub was announced. Monica Rial
Yes,
plays Nano in the dub, is the
yes.
English voice of Nano. And
Hmm.
after the dub, yep. So you contacted Monica Rial, and
Monica
she's
Royal,
big
yeah,
time.
yeah, yeah. She's like a big actor, and I didn't know
She's the
that, by the
biggest.
way.
Yeah.
I
Oh, you
didn't know
didn't
that, by the
know?
way, because I don't
She's
watch dubbed anime or anything. I was like, yeah,
right,
she's
right.
Nano, yay! And then I looked her anime list. I'm like, what?
Yeah, she's got
She's
like
in
30
she's
years
in
of
She,
literally
experience.
everything.
Yeah, 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 yeah.
what do
Shouts
you
to
mean?
Panic Stocking, by the way.
What do you
Stocking Anime.
mean she's the Nolan North of anime?
Yeah, yeah.
There was like no engagement. I wanted engagement.
Right,
I
right.
didn't want the initial laugh. I wanted people to talk. That's this is not enough for me. Not enough. No, 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 no. No. So
I
for
appreciate this drive. I appreciate the
yeah,
desire to have something happen.
yeah,
So what did you
people
do?
say that.
I gotta say, it sounds downright wholesome. And as a person who struggles with community, uh, it's
Yeah,
like,
it sounds like you
oh,
built something there. It sounds
yeah.
like something tangible, honestly,
Yeah.
that you got everybody involved.
So right after the Winter Collab, I was like, I'm very happy with what I'm doing, but I don't think it's enough. So April Fools was about to happen too, and I said, I need to do something stupid. I need to do something that people cannot expect, and it's not going to be a, oh, here it is, whatever. Yeah, just go off your day. So what we did was a two fan dubs. I got around 50 people from the server. I got two, three artists to help me with art, and I got them to do silly stuff. Well, we've voiced an entire episode of Nichijou, an entire episode of Asumagadaya,
Oh wow,
and
that's
we got
fun.
like incredible editor called Demo. Shout out to you, Demo. I fucking love you. No, around that time we were dubbing all of this. Jennifer, the girl that helped me with the entire sound, she's a co-host. She told me, "Hey, wouldn't it be cool if we did like a magazine?" It was like, "What? What is a magazine?" And then from there we were like, "You know what? That would be funny." So we did like a little poll in the server, like, "Hey, who wants to, who would love to do this? Who would love to buy this? What would you love to see here?" And we got like a really good results. But at the end of the day, I told Jen, "This is not enough."
Oh wow.
And I don't think we should just keep it to the Discord server, and we should go for the entire Twitter, an entire Reddit, for the entire Facebook, everything, the entire fan base itself. So she agreed with me, and we started like preparing ourselves for this. I wrote the whole guidelines, the whole thing, and then I translated it to Spanish for the Spanish audience and Facebook. I got Pernick. I love your Pernick, by the way. Uh, to translate everything on Korean and Japanese.
Oh wow.
It's because I wanted this to reach to everyone, to literally
Yeah,
everyone. So
that's great.
that took like a month or a half to just get there. Actually, you this one here, Kai.
Yeah,
This one
yeah. To
was
our audio listeners, we're holding up our copies of the Nichijou Zine and showing the primary illustration or the biggest illustration of all
that
the Nichijou characters cosplaying their Dungeons and
RPG.
Dragons outfit.
As you can see, like every single one is in a different art style. And that's because I literally asked like every single artist if you want to join. We wanted to do a hey, we're gonna do a magazine. Who wants to join? I said no, we cannot just do that. We have to show something big to attract people because
Right,
we don't have
right,
followers,
yeah,
we don't have
totally.
anything. We are only a Discord, and that's not good enough. We have to do a big image so everyone gets attracted to this. And so I got all these people to help out, and that's how it started. Everyone loved that image. It didn't get like crazy numbers. Like so far, I think it still has like 200 likes. But I think it was like my biggest achievement to try and get that ready. There were so many people working on this. The guy that did the lighting for this was insane. Uh, Dango, by the way, I love you. I'm gonna say I love you a lot to a lot of the people that
Sounds
were
like you
part
made
of
a
this
lot of
project.
relationships and a lot of people stepped
Uh,
up to make this happen,
every
honestly.
every single person in this project means a lot to me, and that's what I'm
Oh
going to say.
man.
And yeah, from there we kept going, and I think that was a good part when it came to taking advantage of the whole pandemic, because all of the voice actors were in their houses.
Right, yeah, and everybody,
So from
especially,
there,
they had to adjust from going into the studio to their own at-home studio. So
hmm
yeah, there's a lot of time.
and I had
Uh,
to make sure that everything felt official from my
right,
end,
right. That's what
because
I was gonna say. Yeah,
because to attract Monica, I was like, "Hey, by the way, I did an entire thing with Jenny McKay, and you can ask her. She's the one that did the official translation for Nichijou. We are not just a
yeah,
bunch of crepes. We are actual people that are
yeah,
extremely passionate." So she
yeah.
came in, and it's amazing because this is not in the recording of that stream, but
Which is on your? I would
in the
like to say it
channel.
was on
Yeah,
Twitch, right? Yeah, it was streamed
yeah,
on
yeah.
Twitch. I caught a couple of them.
There's two streams that got deleted, sadly.
Oh no,
And
jeez.
one of them was from Madeline Morris, which is Misato's voice actor.
Oh
But
wow.
yeah, I think the best part about Monica at the time is she's like incredible. But I was very scared.
Well, that's awesome. And how did she feel about Nano and like her responses? And
She was so happy, and she was really
yeah,
happy about the response because I did try. I did a section for every AMA there, where it's a fan art section
yeah.
of every single artist from the Discord server or anyone that tried to submit anything. They would get it there. And yeah, there's a lot of fan art, and she was so happy about seeing like all of this. There was this guy that
Oh
did
man, that's so
like in
cool that she
Dragon
could.
Ball and all of that.
Oh, okay,
With
all
the
her
voice
roles.
requests too, like she did like Terminator Nano, like I'll be back and all that. I still have the
Oh,
voice
that's so
file there.
good. That's so
So,
good.
she was very happy to be there with me. And funny enough, I was going to say that at the start when we before we started recording, I realized that she speaks Spanish because she's a Spaniard. So we spoke in Spanish for through the entire thing until we started streaming.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
it felt like I felt connected at the time. Of course, like she probably doesn't remember me anymore,
yeah,
uh,
yeah.
but yeah, she
Sounds like a
that felt like connected to me. Like that was so cool for me at the time. And
yeah.
from there, I moved on to the next folks. I kept sending emails to everyone. And I kept annoying
Well,
them.
I was about to say, like, if you got Monica Rial up front, then all the other voice actors who are kind of in Nichijou, there's nobody as big a name as Monica Rial.
Yeah,
So I don't know. I really love the performance, and I have to say this because we didn't really talk about the dub, but the voice actor for Yuko is Morgan Garrett,
yeah.
and she's fantastic. Like I,
I'll be
you say
honest.
the performances are usually better in the original Japanese. She's on that level, if not above the Japanese Yuko. I loved her
Uh, I'll be
performance.
honest.
You didn't love it?
I love the Nishijou dub, but not Juko.
Oh wow, that's
I thought
savage! If Morgan Garrett is
Morgan,
listening to this,
Morgan, if you're here, no.
You
Morgan,
talked to her,
Morgan.
didn't you? Or did you?
Yeah, I did.
Yeah.
And Morgan, I just want to let you know I love you. You're incredible, but she sounded a bit too old for me.
No, she's perfect. Get out of here. Anyway, so you interviewed literally the rest of the cast, like,
Not everyone.
yeah, I mean, not literally, but functionally. Yeah.
I did get a Madeline Morris too. She was incredible. Absolutely, she was an Nichijou fan before the dub too.
Oh
And
wow. Yeah.
an interesting tidbit about that, I think it was Morgan. Was it Morgan or Jade? That we talked about it for a bit, and she told me that at the time, or at least she thought that Nichijou was as big as My Hero Academia in 2011, and and everyone talked about it. Well, of course, like 2011 is super different to how anime is perceived now
Right. Yeah. Totally.
because it's so mainstream now. So probably for anime fans at the time, it was this big thing, Nichijou. It seems for what she
Yeah.
says, of course.
Yeah.
But it seems like Funimation and many others wanted to dub Nichijou, but because of the crazy uh,
Oh, it's a
antics,
rights
what?
issue thing that
Yeah,
kept it from happening for so long. That's
yeah.
crazy. That's crazy. So maybe
Everyone
my
wanted
words
it
to
to happen.
Lance, yeah, maybe my words to Lance did push it get
Yeah,
through.
because
That's cool.
everyone loved Nichijou. Like everyone wanted that to happen. It's just that they couldn't
Ah,
do it.
that's crazy.
Hmm.
Oh man. So anyway, moving on, like what's in the future if people are out there in the Nichijou fandom and they want to get involved, join the Discord, right? Obviously, but
Yeah.
anything else going on in the future, or what are you doing personally? You moved on?
Uh, I've been at work mostly, but
Yeah, it
right
happens.
now once I get like back on feet, I have like different projects I really want to make. Like
Yeah.
I have too many, I think, but currently I'm helping with one of the artists, helping with a Friday Night Funkin' mod.
Oh
Just
yeah.
organizing. Then I really wanted to do like a digital free sign for April Fools. I don't think it's gonna be for the next year, probably until the very next one. I wanted to do Seinfeld X Slice of Life. I really wanted that to happen for April Fools. And then the
Yeah.
next one, well, the big one, the big fat project that I have is the next magazine for me, because if I did fantasy, what should be next? And I was like Pokemon. Could it be about food? Could it be about traveling? What could it be about movies? Maybe like replicating movies. Yeah,
Yeah.
that sounds cool, but no, that's too
Yeah.
limited.
Yeah.
So I said, I think next one should be science fiction. So
Oh,
we are
I
doing our
like
science
it.
fiction. We
I
already have the
like
name.
it.
We already have the logo. I already wrote the guidelines. I have them all in Spanish. I have literally almost everything done. Yeah, all I'm
Oh.
waiting is to finish achievements from the last one, to get back on feet by myself, and from there
Yeah.
we really wanted to make something special, because last time our big thing was like tarot cards and then the stickers,
Yep. Which I
and,
have.
and
I
now
came with one.
now I think about it, it's like you're gonna think I'm crazy, but now I think, well, was that really it? Was that all I did? Wow. So I really want to go
Wow.
further. And
You can.
next time I want to do
Yeah.
music. I want to do music this time around. I
Oh.
have a lot of contacts. I have a lot of people that I really want to help with this.
I was about to say it's so Carlos is so valuable, and I speak to you not as your persona, but as a person right now. But it's so valuable to have those skills and get that all together and make something happen. Like I respect that so much and to such a level. Completely respect everything that you've done for this community, and just
Thank you.
being as little part of it as I was, watching it from the outside and supporting you guys and liking your tweets and everything,
Thank you.
watching the streams. It's so great to have you on and have you tell us all about like how you reinvigorated a completely sedentary Western fandom for this lovely property. Um, yeah, just
Uh,
just it's been a wonderful time talking with you.
yeah, thank you. I just really want to say that for me, when it comes to all I've done, all I've said, all I've tried to work around, I think that's for me what made me realize what Nichijou is about. Because when it comes to everything, it's about the little things. It's about how you meet people, how about everything. Because I am so grateful. I've met so many people, so many incredible people. I never thought they were going to be my best friends, and they are. I'm going to meet one of them like next week too. So all of them are so precious to me. All of them have said so many good things to me. I have power to move people now because I thought I was irrelevant, or I think that I was a hack when I did this entire thing. I felt that it wasn't good enough, or that it had this many errors, or all of this. But just hearing people say thank you was just enough for me. Just seeing that someone from Gunma, Japan, the place where Nichijou is situated in the manga, in the anime, they bought a copy, like from the place where Nichijou is. Like those little things, those small things are always important. It's always important to take a step back and see everything. I am very grateful. I am very, very, very grateful for every single person.
Spoder, I think you'll do great things in life, and I think with that attitude, I think you've really got it a good basis to go off of. And yeah,
Thank you.
you know, we wish
Yeah,
you the best in your future endeavors.
It was a great
Hey
advertisement for
man.
the power of community. That was it's quite touching, as I said.
Yeah.
And yeah, the Nichijou fan community. This has been quite enlightening. As I said, I never really it's a world I don't know too much about, you know, and it's fascinating to hear what you guys are doing, and I definitely want to explore more of it. So if you guys want to do the same, make sure you check out the Discord link that will be in the description to this video.
Ooh.
Gunma, do you have a Twitter or anything that they could follow you at?
At Spoderflakes in Twitter, or even like our magazine page, which right now is Nichizine_RPG. But
Nichizine
we are
underscore
we are
RPG.
we
Yep.
are going to most likely rebrand it later on in life. But for now,
Yep.
yeah, that's the name.
Yep. I follow it. Yep.
Hmm.
And there's anything else we'd like to say, or I have the closing words here if you
All
want to
right, go on.
wind it
Hit,
down.
give me these closing words. What do you got?
What else could it possibly be? But in fact, that our everyday lives may in fact be a series of miracles. They just may be.
That's
See
so
that? That's
true.
beautiful. But we got to say, see you guys next time for episode 8. Chinibyo, it's our final installment.
This.
Yay!
We have one more toony little fantasy to live out. We'll see you guys next time. Thank you very much.
Goodbye, everyone.
Bye bye, love you. Bye.
Bye.